Welcome back. Happening right now, St. Paul's oldest private residence, the historic Justice Ramsey House, is officially getting new life at the Minnesota Transportation Museum. It's been a few years since it was removed from its original location next to Burger Moe's and put into storage. The house was built back in 1852 and has huge significance in the African American community after a former slave lived there in 1900. The museum says the house will be rebuilt at its new location to help tell the story of African American workers on the railroad. Today we now know who is taking over the prosecution of the Feeding Our Future fraud cases now that Joe Thompson and several other federal prosecutors quit this week. They resigned in protest of the investigation into Renee Good and her widow in the aftermath of last week's ICE shooting. Gordon Severson joins us with the new developments.
At the federal courthouse in Minneapolis Wednesday morning, we saw former U.S. Attorney Joe Thompson and others. A day after, at least 6 prosecutors resigned. Thompson was front and center of the Feeding Our Future case and many other fraud investigations. But standing next to him at press conferences, you can see Assistant U.S. Attorney Dan Bobier, who told the court Wednesday morning that he is the only prosecutor currently assigned to Feeding Our Future. Bobier was involved in the trial of Amy Bach, the mastermind behind $250 million worth of fraud with Feeding Our Future. And Bobier has been heavily involved with housing stabilization fraud cases. According to his LinkedIn profile, Bobier joined the U.S. Attorney's Office nearly 2 years ago, whereas the Feeding Our Future investigation started nearly 5 years ago. Wednesday morning, Bobier was the only person in the courtroom from the U.S. Attorney's Office as he went up against 7 defense attorneys, each representing a client accused of fraud in the case. The 7 attorneys are pushing for the trial to be moved outside of Minnesota.
We want a fair trial, and we want to transfer to a district where the jury pool is not so tainted by local events, including the militarization of federal agents on the streets every day.
One idea mentioned in court was to move the case to Chicago. Bobier argues the trial should stay here, saying many other high-profile cases, including the trial of Derek Chauvin, were tried locally despite intense public interest. The judge will likely make a decision later this month on whether to move the trial outside of Minnesota.
Gordon Severson reporting there. Defense attorneys also mentioned that their defendants are afraid of ICE agents in the Twin Cities, and they wanted to have more paperwork to prove that they're U.S. citizens. These defendants are not allowed to have U.S. passports due to the concerns that they might try to leave the country. But the judge agreed to let the defendants carry photocopies of their passports in case they're ever approached by federal agents. While we've been talking a lot about immigration enforcement here in the Twin Cities, it's important to remember Operation Metro Surge is all over our state. In recent days, there have been reports of ICE raids in St. Cloud, Rochester, Mankato, Alexandria, and Wilmer, just to name a few. Our Sammy Salina reports on the impacts in Wilmer.
Downtown Wilmer is quiet.
Usually you got like people walking around.
A sound businesses don't want to hear.
There's literally nobody.
But Andres Cabrera, a tattoo shop owner,
just around the corner here.
will take the quiet over what happened Monday.
Getting a little crazy now.
When ICE detained a young Somali woman who friends tell me is a 19-year-old high school student.
She was saying that, she had papers.
This witness asked to be anonymous. She was born here and is worried for family members who aren't citizens.
They just pulled her out of the car and she was frightened.
Foreign-born residents make up about 17% of Wilmer's population, with many coming here for work.
People are not walking on the streets today.
Julie Henslin and the volunteers beside her document ICE activity and help people it impacts.
There are multiple groups of people that are taking care of their neighbors and watching out for each other, and that we are not representative of who all of those people are.
A group of Somali women have been standing guard at this apartment for hours.
It says that we care about our community, we care about our neighbors.
One woman who asked to remain anonymous because of the targeting of Somalis says a person was taken by ICE this morning. Suddenly we hear a chorus of honking and yelling. So in this apartment complex, someone said that they spotted ICE, and then you have volunteers that yell, that honk their horns, that sit in the parking lot just to warn people and immigrants that ICE is in the area.
We chased them out of here.
Another woman tells me she and others follow ICE. She's family friends with the Somali woman taken earlier in the week.
It's heartbreaking to know she's 19. She's in high school.
Has ICE contacted the family?
They have not.
Republican State Representative Dave Baker says he supports ICE detaining criminals.
We can't get answers, though, from anybody about why they're taking a high school student.
He says Wilmer is suffering because of a battle between President Trump and Governor Walz.
My community right now is literally on fire.
The streets of Wilmer are either loud or quiet,
Sadness.
but volunteers say the louder, the better.
Energized to help.
Sammy Solina, KARE 11 News.
That's how I deal with it. I go.
Stick with us. We got more news, more weather coming up after a break.